going on, CSBA? And welcome back to another episode of CSBA Hoops today. And boy, do we have a good one here for you, as it's myself, and in the booth with me we have Ace. Ace, how we doing? Week one was a heck of a way to open up season 15. How are you feeling after week one, and how are you feeling moving forward here today?
Man, what a fun week we had. Super excited to see week two. Like tons of good games in week one. It was literally back and forth. We didn't see too many blowouts, so that's a good sign. So I'm excited for the season.
Yeah. I mean, you come to expect to see a blowout here and there, but it's definitely nice to see that we don't have, coaches submitting game plans and all that good stuff, so we don't have too many blowouts, throughout a given week. But to kick us off here, let's jump right into it, shall we? We can jump right into our week one admin rankings overview. So if we take a look at the actual admin rankings that came out in the beginning of week one, um, not a whole lot of surprises here. I mean, I'm looking at the top 10 right now. You have UNC and Hawaii 1, 2. Ohio was at number 5, which we'll dive deep into how they fared here this week. And then Gonzaga at number 9 also had a little bit of trouble here this week. But the top 10, did you have anything that kind of stood out to you as any shockers, or is it pretty much what you expected it to be?
I kind of expected that. The only maybe question mark was Michigan State
Hmm.
at 10, but for the most part, and then we'll see later that Memphis probably going to move down a little bit after
Yep.
their their loss this week. So now top 10 looked correct to me.
Yeah, and then as we take a deeper dive into the top 11 through 20, you have A&M taking an 11 spot, you have Michigan at 12, and then you have my old squad, Kansas at number 15, who looked pretty dang good this week, and then Mississippi State, Duke, and Auburn rounding it out. Any surprises here as we see a lot of familiar teams here? Duke at number 19, especially IRL. You're not used to seeing them that far down in the rankings, but any surprises here for 11 through 20?
No, once again, I thought it was correct for the most part. I think Michigan um is still a little low. I get it. Uh and we'll see that they lost this week
Right.
against North Carolina, but we both agree we think they're a top 10 team for sure. But for the most part, this looks correct to me.
Yeah, I mean, anytime, obviously Michigan played the number one team in the week one admin rankings. So even if they do end up losing that game, I don't put too much worry into that one. I'm sure Michigan will be just fine. But yeah, not a lot of craziness. Obviously, week one, you just never know because you don't have a lot of games to back up your votes. But as you guys will see here in our next show that goes over the week two rankings, we'll definitely have some games to back up our thought process there as well. But um, let's just dive right into our next segment where we go over each of the night's games and kind of give a high level overview of what exactly went down. So we'll start on June 1st. So if we take a look at the scoreboard, we had three games on our docket. We had number 20 Auburn taking on number 6, Oklahoma State. We had number 3, Texas, taking on number 7, LSU. And we had number 4, Kentucky, taking on number 10, Michigan State. We'll start with the Tigers and Cowboys. Ace and I's team, the Cowboys. We'll try and stay as non-biased here as possible. But how you think the Cowboys did against Auburn, getting that victory there by 12, Ace?
I'm really good. I was very impressed. The offense looked good, but shout out to the defense. 9 blocks,
Yeah.
nine steals, and 12 committing Auburn committing 12 turnovers. And shout out to Tommy Battle. Awesome game for him. 18 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal on 9 of 12 shooting. And it was just a good team win.
Oh yeah. I mean, Auburn, I don't believe led at all. If I'm looking at
No,
that correctly, Oklahoma State had the largest lead of 18, and Auburn never led. So I expect a lot of good things out of Oklahoma State this year. Obviously, getting that first victory is big time for them over the Auburn Tigers. But in our second game, we had number 3 Texas, kind of getting taken to the woodshed here against number 7 LSU, 96-81. Anything crazy stand out to you here?
Yeah, it was a little head scratcher. Like I'm surprised Texas played that flat to start. Maybe coach was trying something new and didn't work out, but shout out to LSU. 5 guys in double figures for them
Wow.
and 42 bench points for LSU. That's very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, shooting 60%, you gotta love that. Hitting 8 threes, shooting 47% from downtown. But just a quick spotlight on Texas before we move on. You'll see a lot of Dexter Franklin here in this week's
Mm.
episode. He had a heck of a performance with 25 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 assists. He only missed one shot out of 12 the entire evening. So to get a performance like that out of Dexter Franklin and still lose by 15, that's absolutely crazy in my eyes. But it's the first game. I don't take too much away from Texas in this one, but maybe we have to give a little bit of credit and a little bit more credit than what we were used to with LSU. Maybe they are potentially a top 5 team.
For sure. And man, Dexter Franklin, he must be a little mad that scoring 25 points isn't good enough. But hey, shout out LSU's bench. Like, when was the last time you seen 42 bench points for LSU? Like, or any team in the CSBA? That's huge getting that out of your bench squad.
Yeah, if LSU can continue to get performances from their bench and performances from, McCoy and Sol, LSU could very easily be a top 5 team come tournament time. But our final game of the night then had number 4 Kentucky and Michigan State, number 10 Kentucky going on the road and coming away with also a 15-point victory, 87-72. What do we think about Kentucky here and coming off of last year and coming into this year with a 15-point win right off the rip?
I'm kind of surprised Kentucky dominated uh, in the paint as much as they did because Michigan State's got some good centers. 56 points in the paint for Kentucky. That's
Plus
massive.
18, plus 18 over Michigan
Yes.
State.
Yeah. And just they out rebound them too. And Michigan State's got good centers. And that's really surprising to me. But I knew Kentucky was going to be a top 5 team. So,
Yeah.
um, and they prove it with that game.
Yeah, I mean, going into Sparty like that and having a bit largest lead of 19, they went in and they were not intimidated by the environment whatsoever. I mean, you have 4 guys in double figures, Anna, Seymour, Carroll, and Smalls. So Kentucky is definitely going to be a team that no one's going to want to see come tournament time. But as always for Michigan State, we'll give a quick shout out to Ray Gunn, another 20 plus
Mm.
performance in points, 26 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Did take 17 shots, shot 10 for 17. So, but I mean, I'm not really too upset with that. If Michigan State's going to make a run, Ray Gunn's going to be leading the charge there. But he was really the only player that really stood out for me when it comes to Michigan State. Was there anyone else that you thought had a good game on either team before we move on to the next day?
Um, Shout out to Dodger Seymour. 15 points, rebounds, 2 blocks,
Yep.
6 for 7 shooting. Very efficient night for him.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely a good night overall there for week 1 CSBA kicking off. But if we go to 6-2, we have another slate of 3 games. A lot of them were pretty dang good. We'll start off here with number 14 Tennessee going to Creighton and defeating Creighton 92-83. Any surprise there, Ace? I mean, I know Creighton's a tough environment, but it seems like Tennessee went in there and kind of took care of business.
I said in the preseason, the week before, we were talking about this matchup here, and I was saying you got to watch out for the 2 guards,
Yep.
McFadden and Luca. But man, the defense for Tennessee was outstanding, causing 13 turnovers for them, leading to 16 points off
Wow.
those turnovers. So Tennessee doing a good job on transition and running and scoring easy buckets.
Yeah, I mean, you have DJ McFadden doing a little bit of everything, 16 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 blocks. So you love to see that out of your starter there with DJ McFadden. And then you have Dexter, shooting 6 for 9, 13 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, and 1 steal. So I really do like Tennessee. I think they could be a top 10 team when it's all said and done. They
Hmm.
shot 61%. They shot efficient from the 3-point line, 6 for 9. We both love the guards on Tennessee, and I just love that bright orange. So I expect a lot of things out of Tennessee here moving forward. But in our second matchup, it was a big time matchup here with number 2 Hawaii and number 11 Texas A&M. Hawaii comes out with the 8-point victory, so we had a heck of a game here. Texas A&M definitely came with a lot to prove. But what do you think about both of these squads? Obviously, with Hawaii coming in with big expectations.
Um, Honestly, I commentated that game. It was kind of sloppy, but it was a really defensive game for sure. Thing that stuck out for me, Hawaii 19 offensive rebounds to only 8 for Texas A&M.
Wow.
So they and but surprisingly they only had 12 second chance points off those 19 offensive rebounds. But um I think Hawaii's going to be all right. Billy Battle was an animal, double double for him, 14 points, 10 rebounds, an assist, a steal, and a block on 7 for 11 shooting.
Yeah, I mean, Hawaii also shot 45% and Texas A&M actually shot 49%. So they shot better from a field goal percentage and also shot better from a three-point percentage. But still, Hawaii, the home team, ended up with that 8-point victory. If we were to shout out a couple players there from the Aggies, we have Corey Edwards that finished with 15 points, 1 rebound, and 2 assists, and Demo finishing with 12, 5, and 3, also a steal and a block. So I expect big things out of both of these teams, but not surprised that Hawaii took the victory there. And then, last but not least, on that Tuesday, we had our special guest who you guys will get familiar with here later on in the show. But we had Kansas State with a 10-point victory over UConn. Anything crazy here? I know Kansas State went on the road and played tough against a tough UConn team, but I'm not surprised that Kansas ended up coming away with the victory here.
No, I'm not surprised either. Kansas State, another uh, dominating game in the paint, 54 points for them. But shout out to Booty Cheeks. I'm pretty sure he was offensive player of the night that day, with finishing
Hmm.
with 20 points, 6 rebounds, assists, and a steal on 8 for 10 shooting. So very efficient night for Booty Cheeks.
Yeah, I mean, freaking Bartlett also popped off in that game too.
Mm.
18, 7, and 4 blocks, shooting 9 of 14. But I would like to give some love here to UConn, as we had Crazy Heim, who scored a big time 19 points, 1 rebound, and 1 assist on 9 of 12 shooting. So, yes, UConn did end up taking the loss here, but Crazy had a heck of a game. So I'd love to see him continue producing the way he produced there against a tough Kansas State team. But overall, it was a great night of games. No real blowouts, which is what you love to see. But if we move right on down to June 3rd, we had some great games in the beginning and not so great in the end here. But we will start off with probably the game of the night, as we had number 17 Illinois go into Florida and get a 4-point victory over the number 16 Gators. What do you think about that one, Ace? That was a crazy game.
Crazy game. And Florida had a 12-point lead at one time, and Illinois came right back. Man, the box score looks crazy. On the losing side, you got Florida, Isaiah Alexander dropping a 30 piece on 11 to 13 shooting. On the opposite side, on Illinois, you got Britt Brownstone with 26 points on 9 to 13 shooting, and Tomahawk with 18 points on 9 of 13 shooting. So, man, this was a awesome game, and I hate that I missed that game because it was so late at night.
Yeah, listen, man, I really like both of these teams. The offensive power that both of these squads have is unbelievable. I mean, Florida also shot 100. Excuse me there. That was not what I was wanting to say, but Florida shot 100% from the free throw line, 12 for 12, which you love to see. But as you already covered, both of these teams have players that can absolutely pop off with the points. And as you'll see, maybe a couple of these players may be covered in our player of the game, or excuse me, player of the week whenever we get to that. But if they aren't, I just want to say both Brownstone and Alexander showed out this week. And it's tough to make the top 5 players of the week, but you always gotta give players their credit whenever they pop off, and both of those players did. So I expect both these teams to be solid moving forward. And then our second matchup of the night had number 13 Houston and number 9 Gonzaga. Uh, I'm not necessarily surprised that Houston went into Gonzaga and took the victory. What I am a little bit shocked at by is Gonzaga losing by 16 at home, Ace.
Yeah, interesting lineup choice for Gonzaga as they did the exact same thing they did in preseason. Um, so we'll see if coach has any adjustments next week against Oklahoma State. But the thing that shocked me was Houston 35 total rebounds to only 23 by Gonzaga. So
Mhm.
Houston dominated the glass in that game. 10 blocks to only 4. But shout out to Leon Sandcastle, man. What
Oh, man.
a game. Probably player of the week if I had to pick one.
Yeah, he showed
26
out.
points, 9 rebounds, assists, a steal, and 7 blocks on 12 of 15
Jeez.
shooting. What a game.
Yeah, I mean, not only did Leon show out, but one thing that actually stood out to me on the box score, Ace, is Gonzaga shooting 4 of 15 from the three-point line. That is not gonna get it done. Not to say that Houston shot much better. They shot 3 of 10. But Gonzaga, if you're going to shoot 15 threes and only make 4 of them, that's not going to be a good indication of you potentially winning that ball game. But both teams did shoot 100% from the free throw line. Houston 11 from 11 and Gonzaga 6 and 6. But yeah, Leon Sandcastle was the big time performer here from Houston, and if he continues to perform like that, Houston is going to be very scary as we continue on in the CSBA season. And then last but not least, to round out this matchup of games, this one Ace was not a good one. We had number 18 Mississippi State destroying number 5 Ohio 93 to 66. I mean, what do you even take away from this one?
This was probably the biggest head scratcher of the week. Like, Ohio, like, did they party last night or what was going on? But 13 turnovers for Ohio, leading to 16 Mississippi State points.
Yep.
But in Mississippi State, 50% from the 3-point line, 7 for
Yep.
14. Like, I Ohio just looked bad. I don't know how to put it nicely.
I mean, Ace, Mississippi State held a lead of 40 at one point. 40. And
That's
the
insane.
admin poll has Ohio the number 5 team.
Mm.
So I don't know if the admins, are kind of giving way too much credit to Ohio here, or if Mississippi State is actually this dang good. And they might just be this dang good, Ace. I mean, Hustle Hardaway finished with 18 points, 13 rebounds, 4 assists, and 1 steal, which and then Wayne with 16 contributing there. I don't know, Ace. I don't think Ohio's this bad, but Mississippi State might actually be better than the ranking that they have in week 1 of number 18.
I'll say this. Yes, I think Ohio just had a bad night.
Yeah.
Um, but I do agree Mississippi State is a very good squad. They kept the solid core that they had from last season and added a couple pieces, but I think both of these teams at the end of the season will be both ranked top 10 teams.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I'm hoping Ohio comes out with a little more fire next week. But I'll tell you this, Ace, if they get smoked again in week 2, I think it might be time to start worrying about the Bobcats. But
mhm,
not quite there yet.
no.
Moving on to the next night, we only had 2 games this evening on 6-4. Not great games, but, it is what it is. You can't have great games all the time. But we'll start out here with Oregon State taking down the Cardinal of Louisville, 93-74. Anything you wanted to showcase here, Ace, between these 2 squads?
Again, we talk about bench scoring. Uh,
That's a theme of
wins
the
you
week, it seems.
yeah, it wins you games, and Oregon State 51 points, uh, bench points. So that's huge. And shout out to London Kane with 24 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist. But I know Louisville, 10 freshmen, but
Yeah.
I think a 21 point loss, yeah, it might look a little bit bad, but you have 10 freshmen. So I don't think that's a bad performance from the Cardinals.
No, no. I mean, you got some building blocks there. I mean, if you just look at the box score, you got Dre Ham, who finished with 12 points and 4 assists, and then you even had Wheatstraw, who came out with a double double. 11 points, 11 rebounds. So you definitely have some pieces that you can build off of here. You didn't necessarily get the win, I know, but it could be a little bit of a moral victory here, a morale victory to keep the spirits high if you're the Louisville Cardinal. But yeah, ultimately Oregon State ended up coming out with the win, which I was not necessarily surprised by. And then our final matchup, again, we only had 2 matchups here on this day. We had our number 1 team, North Carolina. This was Ace and I's game of the week, which uh, wasn't as close as we anticipated, but 2 good teams taking down Michigan, number 12, 99-86. What would you like to say about this one, our game of the week, Ace?
No, it was kind of back and forth, a game of runs. Actually, Michigan made it uh, really close there in the fourth quarter. I think it
Yeah.
was an 8 point game at one time, but shout out to North Carolina, 66 points in the paint. Just man, do they have some good centers and just some great players on that team. And a couple shout outs for Clover Friday with a
Good.
crazy double double. 22 points, 12 rebounds for him, and 11 of 13 shooting. Man, well, they had 4 guys with 15 points or more. So if you get that, you're probably going to win every game.
Yeah, two things are standing out to me here. So obviously the number 1 team we had coming into week 1, North Carolina, we expected them to be good, which you just explained. They had 4 players with over 15 points. And going into Michigan is not easy. We expect both these teams to be top 10 teams when it's all said and done. But as if we hadn't said it enough, depth is absolutely huge in the CSBA. You can have, 2 or 3 top players overall, but if you don't have a good bench, it's going to show, and you're not going to win as many games as you would like to. So I think this week, we talked about it. Is the theme of the week is bench points and depth. That's where games are won and lost, in my opinion. So I'm sure we'll continue to see that coming through in the rest of the weeks here in the CSBA. But in our next slate of games on 6-5, uh, we had one that was close and 2 that not so much. So we'll start off with one that was not so much. We had the Wichita State Shockers shocking Vanderbilt 91-55, going to Vanderbilt and doing that. I know our boy Mort had these players ready to rock and roll, but what do you have to say about this one?
Yeah, man. I think Wichita just took Vanderbilt to the woodshed in that game. I mean, I'm looking at the box score. Everything is leading towards Wichita State. Like,
Yep.
there's only one thing that Vanderbilt did better was that. 2 extra offensive rebounds, but talk about total domination. And Wichita State, 2 players with 20 points and more, almost with that double double with 23 and 9. So
Yeah,
Wichita
more.
State, watch out for them.
Wichita State's always there, man. I feel like they're always competitive. They're never, a bad team. And one thing that I would like to call out here that you don't see too often is Moto Jr. Didn't score a lot of points, only had 4, but finished with 10 rebounds and four blocks. So definitely playing their role. I love to see players really maximizing on their role on the team and may not be a big time scorer but fills up the rest of the stat sheet because whenever you have Mort and Hartman leading the way with 23 and 20, you don't need a lot of players that need to put up big time points. You just need them to fill other stats in the stat sheet. So Wichita State, definitely very impressed with their performance there. But our game of the night, I would like to say for this slate of games, was UCLA and Virginia Tech, and Virginia Tech giving their home fans a big time W here with by 7 points, 78-71. How about this one for the Hokies?
Yeah, man, this was a great game. I think the biggest thing looking at this box score for me was fast break points. Virginia Tech 18 to only 7 for UCLA. So
Wow.
when Virginia Tech was getting that defensive rebound, they were running and scoring easily. So I think that was the key in this one. And then if you look at the box score, shout out to Dalen Sparks and Babineau, both 15
Hmm.
points for both of them.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I could potentially see Virginia Tech being ranked after this week. Because obviously both those teams coming into it were not ranked, so we'll have to see how our coaches poll and our admin poll come out here within the next 24 hours or so. But just an overall great competitive game, and Virginia Tech coming away with the win. But our last game of the night there was Providence traveling to Arizona, and Arizona coming away with the 75-59 victory. So a couple games here where teams are struggling to even hit the 60-point mark. What do you have to say about this one?
Oh man. Both teams struggled shooting the three
Very
ball.
bad.
Uh Arizona only 17% and Providence only 20%. But 46 points in the paint for Arizona. The and we talk about bench points, 10 more bench points than Providence. But yeah, everything was leading towards Arizona's side in the uh, team comparisons there. If you look at the box score, Fernando was the leading scorer with 13 and 2, but Arizona had 4 guys in double figures, almost 5, so that's a good sign for Arizona.
Yeah, yeah. I think two things that kind of stood out to me, or I should say one thing that stood out to me for two of the games this week is Vanderbilt's offense struggling and Providence's offense struggling. Neither team
Mm.
was able to hit the 60-point mark, and that's usually not a good sign that you're gonna win a game. You're most likely never gonna win games, 60-59, not even hitting the 60-point mark. So I know it's week 1, but that is something that I'm a little bit nervous about is both of those squads' offenses, but we will have to wait and see how things pan out. But after that night's games, we had one final one from 6-6. We had a couple games there that got rescheduled, and we had 2 of them. And the first one we had was number 8 Memphis losing on the road to Syracuse, which if you look strictly at rankings, that's quite an upset as we have Syracuse not even ranked getting the victory 82-68. Ace, were you shocked by this one?
Yeah, I actually called this game last night, and it's kind of crazy. Like, okay, Syracuse had 10 more shots, but both teams finished shooting 51% from the field, both teams. Both teams took exactly the same amount of threes and made the exact same amount at 5 of
Wow.
13. of 38%. But the biggest thing for me, 14 second chance points for Syracuse to 0 for Memphis. So again, we talk about rebounds are one of the most important things in the CSBA.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, strictly looking at rankings, this is a shocker. Memphis.
Mm.
I mean, Syracuse is a tough place to play, but Syracuse's players absolutely popped off. You have Amos with 24 and 2. You have Odabe with a double double at 11 points and 12 rebounds. Slick with 11 points. And kind of, what shocked me here and ultimately may have been Memphis's demise was Tyree shooting 2 for 8 from the field. Ultimately ended up finishing with 9 points, but Tyree is usually a big time scorer, and if he's shooting 2 for 8, Memphis is most likely going to lose the ball game. Would you not agree?
Oh, I completely agree. That
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. So
It
I expect Memphis to, come back from this, and I expect Tyree to also come back from this. But I'm gonna give the credit to Syracuse here. C-Web's got something cooking over there with the Cuse, and we'll see if the Orangemen can continue that momentum into week 2. But our final week or our final game of the week, which turned out to be a freaking great game, my old squad, the number 15 Kansas Jayhawks, going into Cameron Indoor and taking down number 19 Duke 79-70. Ace, this was a great way to end the week if you ask me.
oh, for sure, and it was kind of a weird game. So Duke started out the end of that first had like a 14-point lead, and then after the first, it was the Jayhawks show. But the biggest thing that stuck out for me was 12 turnovers for Duke,
Wow,
leading to 18 points for the
that's the difference,
Jayhawks.
no doubt.
Yep. Yep. But this game was insane, back and forth. Shout out to Ryan McDrizzle, 17 points on 7 and 9 shooting. We had 4 steals too, so um, just turnovers killed Duke.
Yeah, especially that many turnovers at home is kind of crazy to see. So I don't know if the crowd had an impact on that one or if the players were just overhyped for their first home game of the season. But yeah, Kansas looked very, very impressive. I can see them moving up in the rankings after this one.
There's one other thing I wanted to say was
Yeah.
bench points. Duke's bench only had 10 points, and I hate to uh s- like make fun of people or like trash on players, but the bottom 3 for Duke finished the game. The bottom 3 0 for 19 shooting combined.
That's unbelievable.
3 players. So if I think Duke is a pretty good squad, so they might have to switch up some rotations or what, but you can't have 3 guys going combined in 0 for 19 in the game.
No, and speaking of those, if you look at the bottom 4 of the box score, if you look at the point differential, -34, -15, -16, -21. But
Mhm.
you could also look at it this way, if you're Duke, you can also look at it like, "Oh, my bottom 4 guys played absolutely terrible, and we only lost by 9."
Yes. That's why I said just you might have to just tweak your rotations up a little, like put some starters on the bench or yeah, just tweak it a little bit and maybe next week Duke comes out with a win.
Yeah, yeah. So I expect both these teams to be a-okay moving forward, but nonetheless, a great win for Kansas. So that'll do it for all the games from week 1. It was a great week of matchups and look forward to we'll get into week 2 here a little bit later. But coming up, we have our special guest interview. Ace has a special guest joining our booth here this week. So let's get right into that segment. You guys can see who our special guest is and Ace, take it away.
And I like to welcome Coach one of my favorite players in the CSBA, my boy Andrew Bartlett, to the show. How we doing?
Hey guys, thanks for having me today.
A couple questions for you here. First question: tell us how your offseason went for Kansas State. I see you brought in Booty Cheeks, and what a great pickup he was. Tell us what he adds to the core that you kept from last season.
Yeah, I mean, I think our offseason was pretty intentional. We didn't really do a lot of overhaul. We kind of kept a lot of core pieces. We didn't want to tear anything down, so we kind of just sharpened what we already did well and put our guys in better positions to succeed. We did keep our defensive core together. I myself actually moved down low to the center position so that it kind of frees up kind of our more offensive bigs to kind of play to their strengths a little more in different roles than they did last year. From there, the main goal was to add an offensive spark that we were missing last year. One of our biggest weaknesses last season was scoring from behind the 3-point line. So we made it a priority to upgrade that. Cheeks gives us that exactly what we're looking for. He's an elite shooting threat from all areas of the floor, and his gravity really changes how teams have to guard us. If you stay home on him, it frees up our forwards to really punish you in the pick and roll game. But if you load up and take away the bigs, his spacing coming off actions and knocking down shots really can punish you too. So opposing defenses have much more of a pick your poison situation than it was a year ago for us, and I think that's a big step forward.
For sure, I'm really excited to watch you guys this season. You guys look pretty good so far this season. Secondly, what's your thoughts of the Big 12, Big 10 conference this season? It looks like a gauntlet. Any key matchups you're looking forward to? And do you think it's the most competitive conference in the CSBA?
Yeah, you said it. Gauntlet's the exact word for this. I do believe it is, if not the hardest conference, it is one of the toughest conferences to be in. I don't see any team that's a true bottom feeder. Every week will feel like a test. There aren't many nights that you can get away with just playing 80%. You got to play 100%, 110% every night, every week this season for us. On paper, the early favorites are going to be Texas and Kansas because of their Final Four and tournament runs last year. But I mean your team Oklahoma State coming in, and you guys like really really put a good roster together, and I think that's going to turn a lot of heads if they haven't already. Beyond those names, like I said, there's every team in this conference can get you on your bad day, right? Whether it be either of the Michigan teams, whether it be Illinois, Houston's looking really good. We all have a tough matchup every week. So, in terms of the ones that I'm looking forward to, I mean, obviously that Kansas always we circle that one every year. I'm going to circle the Oklahoma State game, But
Yep.
like I said, because the gauntlet we're in, every game is going to be a circle the calendar type of night for us.
For sure. This is why it's going to be important to win every conference game. And this leads to my next question. Third, I know we're changing March Madness up a little this year. Only half the teams make March Madness, and the rest go in the NIT. Your thoughts? And do you think teams really got to look at strength of schedule?
I do like the new format. I think what it's going to do is it's going to split the league into two halves. I mean, quite literally, but also it's going to make it so that you're not just playing for that last couple spots. You could be playing for something meaningful. Those middle tier teams could be playing for either they're either trying to push into the March Madness tournament or they're playing for a top seed in the NIT. Right? Those 50th percentile type teams. I think it's going to actually lead to a lot more engagement late in the season. It's going to lead to importance of winning those week 7, 8, 9 type games to really see where you're going to land. I mean, I think of the NFL, right? You got the playoff race for those wild card spots. It's kind of that kind of feel. I think to me is that you're racing to see if are you getting that bye, are you getting that wild card, are you going to get that home field advantage type thing. Um, but yeah, and to your point, I think we just talked about how much the Big 10, Big 12 is a gauntlet, right? Some of us are not going to make it out with the greatest schedule. That we're not going to be undefeated. I don't even know if any team will be undefeated in our conference, right? But are we going to be penalized to that extent um because of the strength of schedule that we had to deal with, right? So yeah, I 100% would like to see this strength of schedule be heavily factored into it.
Yeah, and I'm kind of excited for it too, because you get to see the top teams play against each other. So it's going to be close games, and then you see the bottom tier teams duke it out. So I think, yes, NIT and March Madness, all those games are going to be close match games for sure. Lastly, want to know, what is your favorite thing about the CSBA?
I- the CSBA, I mean, it's the community. It's two things. It's the community side of things. It's also the the attention to detail type of aspect. By that I mean you have some coaches, some players that are really dialed in. They're really looking at game plans, tendencies. They're scouting the stats. They're scouting those box scores, and they're really trying to play into the gamesmanship of the league, right? Building a program. I mean, it's not just, hey, here's your team play. It's recruiting. It's scouting those players. It's recruiting those players. It's role playing to it a certain extent for the gamers out there, right? There's a certain role playing element to this league. On the other hand, it's still community, right? You got coaches talking ball every day in the chat. Everybody's reacting games. Everybody's at the Twitch stream. We're talking about other things too, right? Everything that's not CSBA related, right? Video games, food, all this other stuff, music. So it's very much a good mix of the competitive structure of the league, as well as just a group of people who are genuinely invested in having fun with each other.
Yeah, for sure. CSBA definitely feels like a family to me, and I don't know what I would do without the CSBA in my life, to be honest. But I just want to thank you for your time, Bartlett. Really appreciate you, like always, and I hope you and the Kansas State squad have a great season.
Thanks, guys. Good luck.
Man, what a great interview with Ace and Mr. Bartlett of Kansas State. I look forward to having more interviews here in the future, and I appreciate Ace and Bartlett taking the time to join the podcast here today. And I look forward to our next guest. We don't have that quite scheduled up yet, but I'm sure we will here very, very soon. And with that being said, let's take a look at our top plays. Again, if you guys have any top plays that you would like to submit, please, please, please make sure you submit them in the CSBA Discord. It's under the top 10 plays of the week submissions. That's exactly where you want to put your clips. But without further ado, let's take a look at our top plays of the week. And those are some amazing plays that we saw there. Look forward to continuing to see amazing plays here from the CSBA universe with week 2 next week. But with week 1 in the books, let's take a look, Ace, at our players of the week. Again, it's very, very difficult to choose a top 5 with the amount of teams and the amount of players that we have. So that's why with each of the matchups, we like to cover a couple of the big time players. But overall, Ace, let's take a look at the players of the week. We have Hustle Hardaway with Mississippi State finishing with an impressive double-double at 18 points, 13 rebounds, 4 assists, and 1 steal. And then in the loss, Dexter Franklin from Texas, 25 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal. And then potentially the player of the week, I'll leave that up to you. Houston, Leon Sandcastle, 26 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, and 7 blocks. So extremely close to a triple double. And then from our number one team, we have Clover Friday, 22 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, and 2 blocks. And then last but certainly not least, we have our boy Mort for Wichita State, 23 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 blocks. What do you think of this list here, Ace?
I think this list is perfect. All five of these guys balled out this week, but the two that really sparked my eye was Clover Friday for North Carolina, but my player of the week, Leon Sandcastle from Houston.
Yep.
26 points, 9 rebounds, 7 blocks. Like, are you kidding me? Like, that's got to be player of the week.
Dude, if he would have got 1 more rebound and 3 more blocks, he may have already secured player of like the best performance of the year in week 1. Like Leon
For real.
Sandcastle. And we did not include this on here. And the reason he was not included on here is because now I say this he only scored 30 points, but the player from Florida, Ace, he didn't really do too much else in the box score, which is why I didn't include them in here, but I still wanted to at least shout them out. You happen to remember the name, Ace? It was Isaiah
Yeah.
Alexander, who finished with 30 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists on 11 of 13 shooting. So I did not want to leave him out. But is there anyone else, from the week that may have stood out to you that wasn't included in this list?
No, I think it's pretty accurate. No,
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah, no.
good.
Yeah, no, this list was very impressive to say the least from top to bottom. Again, it was very difficult to come up with a top 5 because there was a lot of impressive performances, but you know, that's just the top 5 that CSBA Hoops Today has. But in our last segment, unfortunately, at the time of this recording, we do not have our exact dates of our week 2 matchups. So whenever we do upload this video, guys, we will have the top 5 matchups of the week, and we'll call out our overall week 2 game of the week as well. So not a lot to speak on ahead of week 2 here since we don't have the release schedule yet, but at the time of the upload of this video, we will have our top games out there to get some people talking about the top games and to showcase which games we're highlighting each day for next week for our Twitch streams. But that's all we have here for the week 1 recap show. Ace, is there any final parting words that you have for our audience before we let everyone go?
No, I had a great time. Thanks for Bartlett showing up. Keep an eye out on who we might have for a special guest next week. We may just have the Michigan coach next week. I'm already in talks with Rusty, so so keep in tune for that. And I'm excited for next week's episode.
Nice, that'd be awesome. And yeah, if Rusty ends up joining us, that'd be great. And if anyone is interested, in potentially joining the podcast for an interview, feel free to reach out to Ace or myself, and we'll definitely try and do our best to get you involved. But with that being said, we look forward to week 2. And if we don't catch you guys on the next CSBA Hoops Today, we will talk to you in the Twitch streams. So everyone, enjoy week 2.